Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the MVP Fantasy Football and Sports Podcast. My name's Tyler Johnson. With me, as always, is Ryan Elke. Ryan, we have a great day today here in Wisconsin. The weather is perfect. I mean, it's like that perfect 70, mid-70s out. And on our show today, it's going to be a quicker one, but we are going to touch on just a couple news, a little bit of hype coming out, and then we're going to go into buy and sell players, along with doing the late round targets. Ryan had selected, I think, a little bit close to 6 or 7 players that you're going to target later in your drafts. It's someone that he's targeted a lot. I know I've targeted a lot. And then also for the buy sell, it's just these questions that are being asked between Ryan and me, along with questions that are being asked from the community. So we'll do a little bit of Q&A. We're going to make sure that our answers are quick, but they get to the point, and we give our reasons why. So we're just going to jump immediately into the news.
So you got any advice for me? Generally.
The news is going to be about, we have Jerick McKinnon, who suffered another setback in recovery. It was said that it's a real bummer. He keeps getting the final step. He keeps getting to the final step. We did it a month ago, and he kind of regressed. Yesterday, we had a similar situation. This isn't looking good for McKinnon, and it just seems like the same go-around, almost like we're on a merry-go-round, and he just keeps coming around to getting injured, and we're looking at the people behind him every single time.
To me, it sounds like he's going on the IR at this point, and possibly designated for return. So what is that? At least 8 weeks he's going to be out. That opens up a lot of opportunity for not only Tevin Coleman, but the guy that opens up the opportunity for is Matt Breida, which is a guy that I will talk about later. It's definitely a name to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I'm actually been very high on picking Tevin Coleman in pretty much all of my drafts. I think I have him in 2 out of the 3 drafts I've done, and he's just a great pickup earlier, and I think his draft stock's going to rise, along with the guy we're going to talk about later. So if you're drafting now, or you drafted last week, I hope you were able to pick up Breida later in your draft.
Coleman and Breida are pretty good steals right now for the ADPs. Breida especially, I mean, he's double-digit right now, I'm pretty sure. I think I got him in the 11th round in our league, maybe 10th. But I just feel like that was a pretty good steal at the time. And hearing this McKinnon news, obviously for McKinnon hurts. Like it's kind of obviously you don't want that to happen, but for Breida, it's good news.
Yeah. So McKinnon being out, we have a feeling he'll be out for much longer. And talking about somebody being out for maybe not much longer, the hype news is Melvin Gordon possibly coming back week 1. And talk about out of the 2 running backs that we're holding out, the one that I least thought would be back week 1. He's still not back.
Oh man, Tyler, if he comes back, like if he does play week 1, you know how many people just got a massive steal?
I mean,
like
he
third,
was going
4th,
almost
5th round guy.
That's what I was gonna say. I've seen people that have been drafting him in the 5th or 6th round, and it's like if he comes back, that's your number 5, number 6 overall running back that people are drafting in drafts.
Overall player, I feel no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Melvin Gordon, I have him in my dynasty. He's been on the bench. If he comes back, I will be ecstatic because I need him for possibly switching people around in the flex. So we're looking out for.
You lost Andrew Luck in dynasty already, so
yeah.
You're hoping for Melvin's return. I didn't want to rub it in, dude, but it's just you have them both. It kind of sucks, but
and you know what else sucks is anyone that is drafting Eckler as his draft stock is rising and
super early too, like. I've seen him going around 5, dude, in one of my drafts. So I was like, what? I mean, it was a 12-man, end of round 5. I just felt like that was way too early. I see Duke Johnson go there too, and you can't take Duke Johnson there right now, in my opinion, just because you don't know what they're going to do. I feel like they're going to bring someone in. Someone is going to be brought in, and that right there is going to shoot Duke Johnson's stock down again.
Yeah, so that's another thing to monitor as well for that running back, and that really does it for our news. We're going to keep that eye on Melvin Gordon. I hope to hear some news soon about – I mean, that's a team that wants to go to the Super Bowl this year, and they need him starting week 1. He's a big part of their offense. I know he kind of has that injury risk with him, but we're going to monitor that. And, of course, I am being on my team and everyone else that got that steal. And we're going to move right into what are we doing, the buy and sell?
Yeah, we'll go buy and sell. Let me take over as the main host here for a little bit. I'm going to ask you some stuff.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, so buy and sell. Are you buying or selling LaShawn McCoy? Just in general, it's kind of like a blurry question or vanilla question, but buying or selling LaShawn McCoy. And I'm going to ask this because I've seen LaShawn McCoy go into single-digit rounds, and maybe I've even seen him go in round 6 or 7. I mean, what's your thought on this? Are you buying or selling LaShawn McCoy this year?
Well, right now, and like you said, I'm very surprised at how early on some of our drafts we've seen LaShawn McCoy go. And I'm not sure if people are drafting him off of name value alone, but we're talking about a running back that we're not even sure is going to get the bulk of the carries on the Bills. And I just it's how we talk about like Josh Jacobs. If you're on a bad team and you're going to get even like Mixon, you're on a bad team, you're a good running back, you're still not going to do that great. And then you're talking about McCoy, who's on a bad team. He's deteriorating as a running back. He had 500 yards last year. He started 13 games. I mean, that is not the pace you want. Only 3 touchdowns on the ground. He did pick it up a little bit in the reception game. He had 34 receptions, but you're looking for a lot more to cover that floor. And I don't think he's somebody that you should own, or if you're going to take that flyer at the end, he's still an older guy, and I don't think older guys are the ones you want to take flyers on. Frank Gore's there, and, LaShawn McCoy is just a name value right now. I wouldn't want him on any of my teams. I'm not targeting him, and I'm looking at the ADP, and I don't see anyone else really drafting him outside of maybe your local leagues like ours. So LaShawn
Final
McCoy,
answer, sell?
Oh my goodness, I would sell the hell out of him.
I didn't hear anything with the buy in that one, so I'll put capital letters sell on LaShawn McCoy.
And I think he should be in the waivers.
I do agree with you, though. I don't know about waivers. It's worth a shot to throw him on your team as a late round, I feel, maybe to see what he can do. But he is, 32, 33. So I definitely agree with your answer there. Next one for you is you buying or selling Travis Kelce in the second round?
So Travis Kelce, you hear a lot of fantasy pros who are actually okay taking him at the end of the first, early second. And to me, I like to look at last year. He had probably one of the best seasons a tight end can have. You're talking about when Gronk was having great seasons. He was drafted in the first round, going into the second round. Kelce finished 23rd last year, and we're talking about a PPR format, and that is right behind Juju. And we know how good Juju was. So if you're getting a tight end at that caliber, and he's giving you wide receiver 1 numbers, and he's in the top 23 overall, so you're talking about quarterbacks as well in there, I mean, that's a great player. If we're thinking that he's going to regress, I mean, you got to push him down and kind of see the players that he's dropping behind. I wouldn't want to draft him ahead of like Mike Evans. I think the area that I would.
But he finished. So here's my counter to that. He finished a little bit above Mike Evans last year, I think. So you still sticking with that?
Well, I'm still selling on him only because of the regression. He had a great season. I think we're just the Kansas City offense is going to be great again. But it's hard to predict them being as great as they were last year just because of the numbers they were putting up. And Travis Kelce played 16 games. He was fantastic. But if I think he regresses a little bit, I don't think Mike Evans is going to regress. I think he possibly could do better, if not stay the same as what he was. He had 1,500 yards last year. We're talking about Travis Kelce maybe getting bumped down. I would draft him at the end of the second, right after when Mike Evans is being taken. Maybe early third. So as soon as Mike Evans is gone, that's where my Travis Kelce range starts.
So you're essentially you're buying him in the second round, but as a late round guy.
Yeah. And like I said, Mike Evans is like my great point of where I'm going to start drafting Kelce before I draft Mike or after I draft Mike Evans.
I wanted to throw that curveball in there with the Mike Evans thing, and I do agree with you. Both these so far I'm on your side with, which is interesting. But yeah, I agree. Late second round.
And we may agree on most of these because I know the next
behind
one coming
Mike
up.
Evans. So for sure. All right, next one is going to be Leonard Fournette. Now here's the key to this one: buy or sell Leonard Fournette, finishing as a top 10 running back in PPR if he's healthy. So let's say healthy means he plays 15.
15. So he misses maybe one game or he sits out one game. And you're talking about a guy that looks great when he's healthy and playing. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago, 2017? He only played 13 games. He already had 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, and that was in 13 games. I'm thinking that if he plays 15, it up to 16 and he's healthy and there's not much that's behind him that even anybody's picking up as like an upside guy. I mean, look at how good TJ Yeldon was when Fournette went down. That means that the offense was good last year for rushing, and now you add in Foles, you add in more of a passing attack with Dede. I think Leonard Fournette is going to be a monster if he stays healthy, and I love picking him up, especially at the discount you're getting him at, because last year he went in the second round. I remember having him for a second-round pick. Leonard Fournette this year, I think he's going in the third, and if he plays 16, I see him as almost, I'm buying because I see him as almost being close to that top 5 if he's playing 16 games. Because it
definitely has potential if he plays the fair share of the season. Okay,
yeah, you're talking about
another one I agree with. I don't know about top 5, but I'll go top 10 with you on that.
I mean, you're talking about a 24-year-old guy. If he's able to get his body healthy, and 2 years ago in 13 games he was over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, what would you add? Like a couple hundred more, you get 1,200 and 11 touchdowns. That's gonna be a great season. Sure. So
that's a nice season. All this good talk about Fournette, and I just traded him away in Dynasty. We'll talk about that another time.
Well, he's got to stay healthy. That's the big thing.
That's the thing. I guess that is true. He's got to stay healthy. He hasn't really proven it yet. Next question: buy or sell? Kerryon Johnson with 60+ receptions this year.
Okay, so we're talking about another guy that is going to be hard to stay healthy this year. We are pushing him down our rankings and running back. I'm going to, what was it, 60?
60+, yep. And he had 39 last year.
Well, let me say this.
32, my bad. 32 catches last year. So 32 basically doubling.
And you're talking about him playing a full season, or are we just going to
go
off of? Okay, so if he played a full season, I think he's obviously going to push higher than 60 receptions because he's going to be playing from behind. You're talking about the Lions offense. They're going to be playing from behind. And he's not.
Watch your mouth. Hey. No, I'm just kidding.
They're not going to be in the red zone very often, but when they are, they're going to be running C.J. Anderson.
See, that's what people think, man. I don't know. The most people are saying that, and maybe it's because I'm a Lions fan, but I think the offense is going to be sneaky good this year.
Well, and there's been coaches coming out saying that they're not going to overuse Kerryon Johnson, and I think that with them being down, they're also going to be throwing to Kerryon Johnson a lot, so he does offer a lot of PPR value at the running back position. But, I mean, I'm not seeing him carrying the ball as much as he did last year on the pace he was at. I mean, he had 118 carries on 641 yards, and that was in 7 games starting. If he kept that pace, he was going to be a solid running back one. But going into the next year, I have some regression talk with Kerryon Johnson, but I do like the reception totals that he can produce because of being down and also being away from the red zone a lot of the time. They're trying to make it there. So
okay, I think that you didn't mention it, but the key to the whole buy or sell question is there's no Theo Riddick anymore, and I think he had 60+ catches on his own last year, so I don't see why Kerryon Johnson can't. So yeah, I'm buying with you on that one.
And I mean, they have a couple.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they have a couple of good targets at wide receiver too that are going to open up the middle of the lane for Kerryon.
For sure, everyone's sleeping on Danny Amendola until he goes down with like his 8th concussion or something. But while he's there, that's another guy that can move the chains.
All right, let's hear this next one. I'm
next one. Here we go. This is my favorite one, and I'm excited to hear your answer. Buy or sell? Kyler Murray finishing as a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year.
Kyler Murray as a top 10 quarterback going into this season. Let's just pull the roulette on the.
It's kind of bold, I know.
I mean, you're talking about a guy. A lot of people are trying to compare him to Russell Wilson. A lot of people are comparing his rush game to being a very safe floor. And I'm just trying to think of when's the last time the Cardinals were good? When's the last time the Cardinals had a good performance when it came to quarterback? They haven't seen it. Carson Palmer was the last guy, and I think that was almost 3 years ago because his last 2 years weren't all spectacular. I brought up the 2016 stats for Carson Palmer, and you're talking about a 6-8 team, and he threw 4,200 yards and 26 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So decent yardage total, but the touchdown to interception was a little scary, and we're scared of this offensive line going into the season. We do know that Murray has some wheels like a Russell Wilson. That's why they're comparing Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson, I mean, he has his touchdown totals to help back up his stats. So you're talking about a guy that's been in the 30-plus touchdown range, and that's where he's getting his top 10 quarterback finishes. I don't see Kyler Murray with the threats on offense. Fitzgerald, and then you have Christian Kirk, David Johnson. You're talking about a lot of good guys, but that offensive line is not going to help him out at all. And I would be a sell. I have Murray at the 13. I know that Ryan has him a little bit higher than I do, but I just don't see it. I don't see him producing. You look at last year in the Arizona. The quarterback situation was Josh Rosen. I mean, he threw for 2,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 14 picks. And, I mean, he was running for his life every single play. And they were just kind of a mess. It'll take a little bit more time, I think, to figure it out. But I do think he's a good quarterback. They're just going to need to help him out a little bit more when it comes to the offensive line and how their offensive scheme is going to be.
Okay, so you're selling them. This is the one where I'm going to go the other way. I would buy them, and it's kind of like a bold prediction of mine. I think in the preseason, everyone was so hyped until they saw him in preseason, that second game where he didn't do that well. You got to remember that was the most vanilla offense that they were doing. They didn't want to unleash their scheme right there. This is going to be an air raid attack, and just for that, I see the potential of it. Is it probable? Maybe not, but it's my bold prediction, and I really do want to see him finish as top 10. And I've been chasing him in all my leagues here, and I've drafted him in all of them except one so far, and I've done 6 drafts. So, I mean, that might play part of it for me. I do want to see him finish as top 10 because I got great value on him in all of them. So, yeah, if he finishes the top 10 and I got him in all double-digit rounds, it's a huge steal for me.
And he is going later in the when you're catching him at like the 12th round.
Yeah, it's because that second preseason game really helped that. People got a little bit scared because he was getting up there in like the 7th or 8th round at one point. I wouldn't take him there.
Well, and let's just say the Arizona Cardinals are going to be a lot more fun to watch with Murray at the helm than it was Josh Rosen. So
for sure.
All right, well,
that's because the head coach though.
Yeah,
bringing Kingsbury in changed the whole thing.
No, it definitely did, and so that's going to do it for our buy sell. We're going to do that segment quite a few times this year. I definitely like when we're bringing up players. A lot of people have controversy over. Some pros are very very big on like the Kerryon Johnsons and
which
Kyler
I like
Murray's, and so we just want to give our feedback with it, and we're going to move into the late round targets. I got the list here. Ryan was able to go through, kind of pick out his favorites, and we're just going to touch on them pretty quick. Ryan's going to give his feedback on why he's drafting them, and I'll fill in also for some of the guys that I have on my team. So we'll start off with
before we get into it though. The industry, the fantasy football industry, half these guys are really high on the fantasy football industry, and it's for good reason.
Yeah, and these are the people that you have to listen to. If we're agreeing with them, it's just something that's great to go after the average draft position of these guys. That plays a big part in why you're drafting them. I mean, you're talking about a lot of 10+. I think they're almost all 10+ round. So
all of them except possibly one.
Yeah, are you talking? Okay, well, the second from the bottom probably.
Yep. Third from the bottom.
So you're right. Running backs first. Tell me, Ryan, why you are drafting Justice Hill in many of your leagues.
Yeah, because ADP is in double-digit rounds. I feel that's damn near free, and the possibility, like what he can do. So who I'm going to compare him to is an upgraded Tariq Cohen. I just think he's a better overall running back, and he can do the same, if not better, what he does on the field. So that's the first reason. And then he already has the making of a third down back, and Ingram isn't anything to write home about. You know what I mean? This guy isn't amazing. Plus, he's off his PEDs, so how long will he last with that injury concern? Also, with Justice Hill, you want to keep an eye out who Baltimore is going to cut. I don't think they're going to hold all those running backs. So that could also clear a path for Justice Hill.
Yeah, and for Justice Hill, just being that pass-catching running back, it just adds a lot of value to the PPR type of formats. Yeah. And like Ryan was saying, with Ingram, he's kind of been a dart throw. A lot of people drafted him pretty early. People are going after him for a trade target, which is nice if you're able to get rid of him, just because that backfield's so murky. And then also Lamar Jackson. You don't know exactly what Lamar Jackson's going to do, but when he was playing with Gus Edwards, They were a great duo, and it seemed to be more of that wildcat type rushing quarterback with an option at running back.
He hasn't had a running back like Justice Hill, a fast guy that can catch the ball, and I feel
you dump it off
a quarterback like Lamar, he's not going to be gunning the ball on Hail Marys all the time or going post routes. You know what I mean? He's going to be throwing his short to Mark Andrews and maybe, dude, Marquise Brown across the middle, and Justice Hill as like a safety blanket as well.
So the next running back on our list has been a guy that we were actually pretty big on a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And now all of a sudden everyone's picking up steam on him. It's Darwin Thompson. And we're talking about the Kansas City running back backup. He was way behind on both Williams and Hyde, and now he's almost jumped up to that number 2 right behind Damian Williams. Darwin Thompson looks like a great running back that is just waiting for one Williams to trip once.
That's basically what it comes down to, man. Carlos Hyde, don't even worry about Carlos Hyde. Even if he stays on the roster, Darwin Thompson's already passed him. Damian Williams has the starting spot locked down, so that's why Darwin Thompson should remain in the double-digit rounds. If he's going in the single-digit rounds, you know what? You just chalk it up as go ahead, you've reached, you can have him type thing. Double-digit rounds, you go ahead and take Darwin Thompson. Like I said, Damian Williams has the starting spot locked down, but for now, he's one injury or a few lackluster performances away from Darwin taking over and becoming a league winner in the double-digit rounds. So that's definitely a guy, if you see him in round 10 and beyond, I mean, round 10 might even be a little early. Right now, maybe not. That's where you take him.
It is
like in the double-digit rounds.
I'm looking at the ADP for PPR. He's being drafted at the end of the 8th round. He's shot up.
Now that might be just a little too high. I just feel
you're buying into so much hype.
There. That's what it is. The hype train is going crazy on this guy, and I've gotten him in 5 of my 6 leagues in the double-digit rounds, including a 14-man league. So that's where I'm taking him.
And who has him in the other 2 leagues you don't have him in?
You have him in Dynasty,
and then I have him in the trading league.
You do?
Yeah.
You got him in the main league?
No. Oh, no. I picked Samuels over him in the main league.
Yeah,
okay.
You took Samuels, baby. I was like, no way, dude. I could have swore I drafted him. I was about to go cry, dude. I was like, no. Because I went RB0 kind of in that draft, so I'm hoping on Darwin Thompson.
So, everyone, Darwin Thompson.
Scared me there for a second, man.
Is our kind of pick to be the Kamara. And we
He's
were picking
an industry pick, and that is why, Tyler. That is why he's going in the 8th round, because the whole industry's on this guy.
Yeah, and like
we said,
reason. We were on him a week and a half ago, and if you were listening then, that's when you were able to get that 12th round value for him. So let's move on to our next running back. It's another guy that kind of the industry is high on, but for some reason, I don't think his ADP has moved. I'll have to look and see exactly what his ADP is, but we got Matt Breida. And we were talking about earlier in the show with the news of McKinnon and his setbacks. I mean, you're talking about Matt Breida that played through injury last year, and he was just a beast.
He was, and I feel with just him and Tevin Coleman splitting work, I think I think he rises to the top. I think he's a better player than Tevin Coleman. You may not agree, but I think he can do more. Tevin Coleman is more of like a straight line runner. He doesn't make people miss. He's not like he has speed for sure, so he can get the ball and just dip down the sideline and outrun everybody. But Breida is also just as fast, if not faster, and he can cut. The only downside of this guy is the injury concerns. That's the only problem. But he is going late single digit rounds into the double digit rounds. That's where I have been getting him in drafts.
Ryan, his ADP right now on the fantasy calculator. 12-team league is going at the end of the 8th round right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's where you want to take him. Honestly, that's good ADP for Matt Breida right now. It has jumped up, but that's still safe to take him there.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're still getting a value at that point, in my opinion.
And he'll be a dynamic duo with Coleman. I think it makes a really good team. And we might see if Breida comes out and he's doing really well along with Coleman. It might be the end for McKinnon. You never know. I could see it just being kind of an IR slot. They're just going to try and let him get healthy again. And we're talking about maybe another Andrew Luck situation where just one guy can't get healthy and eventually just kind of falls off the edge.
Unfortunately, him and Foreman might be done for their careers.
All right, let's get into our wide receivers. Now we have 2 wide receivers here. Ryan put down the first one here. It's D.D. Westbrook. We're talking about the wide receiver.
He's a middle round guy. Round, I feel, but he's still a good value where he's going now. Dede Westbrook is Foles' favorite target, and if you've been paying attention in camp and preseason, that's his favorite target early on. And if you go RB heavy, which is the I guess everyone wants to do this year, that's what the industry's kind of pushing everyone to do, is get 3 running backs out of your first 4 picks or something like that, which is fine. Now, if you do that, this is a guy that you want to target as your wide receiver 2 or flex.
Yeah, and I mean, right now he's going in the 6th round. I think it's the back of the 6th. It's right next to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson just had that injury. It's right next to Alshon Jeffrey and Allen Robinson. You think that's too high now for him, or would you rather take
the only guy I'm taking out of that group you just said is maybe Alshon Jeffrey, but even then, Dede Westbrook I feel has more upside than Alshon Jeffrey. This
exciting.
This is Dede Westbrook's 3rd year, dude. Like everyone's always high on the 3rd year breakout and whatever. Like this is the chance for Dede to do it. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this guy was a 1st-round pick for the Jaguars.
Okay. And you want to know what? He does have that exciting upside. So Dede and brand new quarterback that actually can throw strikes to Dede's hands when he's crossing the field. As a PPR, I like him a lot. So, and it's hard to say that because we've never liked a Jacksonville wide receiver in a long time. It's been a while. I don't know. What was the last good one since Robinson?
Robinson. Actually, Dede was a 4th-round pick. I don't know where I got 1st-round pick. He's going to play like a 1st-round pick this year, though. Also, DeFilippo's their OC. And you got to remember, he was the OC when Adam Thielen was the wide receiver 1 in fantasy football for the first, 9 weeks? That's another thing to love about it, dude.
So then getting on to our second wide receiver, and it's actually funny. We picked all these guys on this list pretty much so far have been between the 6th round and the 9th round. And we have right in the middle of the 8th, Geronimo Allison.
Your boy, Tyler.
Our hometown guy. I've drafted him in all my leagues. I traded him away already once. But Geronimo Allison is going to be that slot that the Packers always produce, a second high-tier wide receiver. MVS was like the hype when it was he's already surpassed MVS, and MVS was the hype about a couple weeks ago and going a couple rounds before Geronimo. Now Allison has leapfrogged him into the 8th round, Geronimo or MVS down to the 9th. Tell me why you like Geronimo Allison, Ryan.
The only thing I'm going to argue on what you're saying is I don't know if you actually leapfrog MVS, because I think MVS plays over him in 2 wide receiver sets, but Geronimo Allison being in the slot is going to benefit big time. I feel like this guy, after the first few weeks, you're going to realize that you can start this guy in your flex potentially every week. And what I'm going to compare him to is an upgraded Randall Cobb. And Randall Cobb had some pretty good fantasy seasons as Rodgers' safety blanket. And you got to remember, this guy, Aaron Rodgers, doesn't like tight ends. So Geronimo Allison is kind of like your slot/tight end type guy.
Yeah, and you want to know what? When Cobb was healthy, I mean, he was a starter for most teams.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, for PPR, you're getting great stats from the slot receiver. And when I was meaning leapfrog, it was just leapfrog in ADP. He jumped over him.
Oh, and that's true.
And we're talking about a guy that even a couple years ago, before he got hurt, was still putting up numbers where you almost could use it to trade him early in the season. And he's great for targets, great for receptions, and I'm definitely high on Geronimo as well. You just want to get that second wide receiver behind Adams that's going to put up points. So moving on to our last guy, and this is kind of somebody who Ryan has talked about, and we want to kind of touch a little bit.
Started the podcast, brother.
And we want to talk a little bit more about him, or maybe Ryan wants to talk a little bit more about him. TJ Hawkinson, tight end.
Now I'll throw out a disclaimer. This isn't a must move. Like, you don't have to do it. I'm just gonna give you some reasons why here.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, he wasn't drafted in the top, for no reason, in the top 10. This guy, maybe he doesn't get used as much this year, but sooner or later, I think he's gonna break out. So maybe with the final, I'm not saying reach on this guy in your draft. If he's there in the final couple rounds and you have a shaky tight end, maybe take Hawkinson as well and pair him up and let him sit on your bench for a little bit and see what happens. I just feel like if everything goes right and Detroit's offense is where I think they should be and not like the industry and everyone else thinks they're just going to be absolutely horrible, I don't see it. Their offensive line is not that bad. They got an all right run game. Stafford can sling the rock. I feel the only thing that holds the whole team back is the head coach. Like, he has to open it up. And if he does and just let Matt Stafford sling the rock, Hawkinson is going to be a beast. I can see him as not last year's Zach Ertz, but like the Zach Ertz from the previous year, where he's getting like 8 targets a game, 6 to 8 targets a game. And he could finish up there.
Okay.
And so it's not, I'm not telling you, go get this guy. He's going to be a top 10. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But people, they have this guy ranked like 18th in tight end. There's no way, in my opinion, that he finishes there. Sooner or later, he's going to bust out. They're going to see the talent. He's way better than Jesse James. And that's probably who opens the year as their starting tight end. But this guy, once they see what he can do, they know what he can do. I don't know why they hold him back. That's the only issue. So once they realize that, he's going to get let loose, and you never know, man. This guy could be a top tight end for years to come.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to point out is he's probably going to be in most of your free agency listings and waiver wires. It's not bad to just keep an eye on him. You're able to put a little star next to his name and just put him on your watch list. Keep an eye on how the Lions are playing, how their offense is moving, and if you slowly see him getting an uptick in playing time / targets, is maybe the right time to pick him up, stash him on your bench, and then get him before that blow-up game happens. That's going to happen for a lot of guys as we're going through the season, and we're going to talk to you guys about it, is just kind of notice that trend before it happens, and then you're going to have a guy a week before he blows up and be able to trade him almost immediately or just keep him and play him and right out to the championship.
See, that's why I have him as like a late round guy to grab, just for that reason, because you don't want to be fighting for this guy on the waiver wire once he has that 2 touchdown game for like 80 yards. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, he's arrived. And by then, if you don't have a top 3 in the waiver priority, you're not going to get him, I feel. And then you lose out on him. So why not? If there's no one there in the final rounds, maybe just take a shot and see what happens. Hold him for a few weeks.
All right, well, we're going to switch over now to the question and answer, and we're getting all these Q&As off of the Sleeper app, and if you ever have any questions that you want to ask directly to the show, just go down into the comments and write a comment in the YouTube channel, or if you're able to, send it. Pretty much all the questions we're going to answer is going to be in the YouTube comments until we're able to get enough people where they want to send emails in and let us know what their questions are. And then also make sure you rate, subscribe.
Emails, and, dog. You got to wait till Sunday morning. You can just ask them live on Twitch when we're live, bro. That's where you want to do it.
Yep, every Sunday before the games, we're going to be an hour early just talking about trades, talking about who you should start. Make sure that you tune in. And, I mean, if you want to get your question answered, we're going to be pretty much getting every single person on there. So come in, drop by. Everything's in the show notes down below. And make sure you rate, subscribe, and comment. It all helps the show. We're going to try to grow as much as we can. We're going to put out as much content as we can. So let's jump right into the Q&A here. I'm just going to hit you with some quick ones, Ryan, if you want to let me know one side or the other, and we'll just close this show out. So the first one I have here is kind of a funny one. You have the Packers versus the Bears. Who would you start week 1? Would you start Aaron Rodgers or Mitchell Trubisky against Green Bay's defense?
Who asked this question? Ban him. Start Aaron Rodgers, dude. He has destroyed the Bears his whole career.
All right. Next. I liked it.
Next question.
All right, next question.
Next question.
You got a trade question here. Marlon Mack and Mike Evans for Julio Jones. What side of that would you want?
Yes. Julio Jones.
Julio Jones 100% of the time. You're talking about a top. I have him as my top 3 wide receiver.
Andrew Luck was still around. I would say no, just because I feel that benefits Marlon Mack to an RB1.
And you got to think, too, you're just getting out of the draft.
Not this year.
This is the time where so Ryan says after the draft, you throw the draft positions out of the order, out the window. To me, this is kind of where you're looking at when you drafted Marlon Mack, probably 4th or 5th round, and you got Mike Evans in the 2nd. It's like trading your 2nd and your 4th round pick for a 1st round pick. And you're able to pick somebody up off the free agency. It just sounds like a win-win when you grab Julio, because I love grabbing that person off of free agency.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the next one.
Another dart throw in free agency. Plus, you get an elite wide receiver.
Who would you rather have, Ryan? You got 2 of these running backs. Would you rather have Todd Gurley or Nick Chubb going into the season? All right.
Nick Chubb all day. I love his season outlook, even if Kareem Hunt comes back. Plus, there's not as many question marks around him as there is Todd Gurley. Now, I could be completely wrong on this. Todd Gurley could be very, very efficient, and the knee doesn't act up. But once that knee acts up, look at Henderson and Mack or Brown as the guys to go to there. And he could get not necessarily phased out, but you already saw that in the Super Bowl. This guy didn't even in a playoff run. C.J. Anderson got all the work. So that's kind of scary, and I could see that happening again. I don't see how the guy didn't have surgery, nothing happened. And they just want to cut his workload back, right? That's what they said. Mm-hmm. But I see like mid-season, late season, same thing happening.
Okay, this one's going to be another one that's pretty easy. You have somebody asking, would you trade Tyreek Hill for Todd Gurley? And I think that these questions are just showing you how high the general public is on Todd Gurley because of name value. And that's what's pushing him up there. And they're trying to keep their eyes away from the risk that's involved. I mean, this question is actually pretty close. I'm serious. I think you probably are leaning towards Hill, but I don't know. I've been going down on Tyreek Hill here. I don't think he's been going down in my rankings, dude. I just feel Tyreek Hill, I don't know if he can do what he did last year. Plus they got Hardman. Man, I don't know. That's such a hard question. Throwing me on the spot here. Well, I'll talk about
Tyreek Hill at this point. Yeah. I'll keep Tyreek at this point. But I don't see Tyreek doing what he did last year. Still a top 10 receiver, obviously, but not the top 3 guy.
Okay. I like Tyreek Hill. I like the upside of kind of the point value that you can get from Tyreek Hill.
Though, that's the thing. That's where I'm at with it. Just the safety. That injury to Todd Gurley really, really scares me.
Yeah, me too. And it really, I think that he's still getting drafted a little bit too early. But let's move on to the next one. Another really easy one. It's just, these questions that we're getting, a lot of people asking about these trade questions. You need to understand the way that people are thinking. I mean, you have here Hopkins versus Chubb and Kerryon Johnson for a trade. Trading one wide receiver for a top-end running back and then kind of a mid to high running back. Tell me what you think about that one, Ryan.
That's all going to depend on your that's kind of a gamble still, but that's all going to depend on what you have behind Hopkins. If you have some wide receiver depth behind Hopkins, say you got like D.D. Westbrook and a couple other guys, maybe. But I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of these questions right here, you need to see rosters.
Yeah.
That's how you get the real answer. You know what I mean? Like, if I seen the roster, I could change my answer, but just off the top right there, I wouldn't do that.
And it's really how you value these players. For us, we value wide receivers. I mean, even if I had 3 wide receivers, I'm still picking up Hopkins in this trade just because I know that I could flip Hopkins for more than just Chubb and Kerryon. I'll be able to maybe get rid of my bottom wide receiver.
Like a wide receiver 1 and low RB 1 probably, and then you could recoup that, plus get an RB out of it.
Yeah. Like we're saying, you pick up that upgrade in wide receiver, and then you look to flip maybe your third, second wide receiver. You just upgrade your wide receiver, and you're going to go out and get yourself a good running back. So you have to do something like this if you're getting Hopkins. If you're trading Hopkins away, I don't think I would ever trade my wide receiver 1 for a running back. I'd look to go for my 2 or 3.
I mean, unless you're getting one of the elite running backs somehow, then yeah, but there's only 4 elite running backs, and that includes Zeke, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, as I'm looking at some of these questions, I'm scrolling down the list, and I'm seeing a lot of asking about what side would you rather have? Would you trade? And as you answer this, I'm just going to fix my Discord. So Ryan, would you rather have T.Y. Hilton or Stephon Diggs?
For me, that's pretty easy. Even before Luck retiring, I think I still go Diggs. So it's still going to be Stephon Diggs. If he can stay healthy, that guy's going to be great. I think he had over 100 receptions last year, no? I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was...
He's over 1,000
I have high hopes for Stephon Diggs. And it does help that I have him in a couple leagues. But I drafted him for a reason. I drafted him over T.Y. in one of my leagues. So, yes, I would definitely take Diggs.
And now looking at these two players, especially now that Andrew Luck is gone, I do put them very similar as the type of wide receiver they're going to be. But I'm going to take Diggs as more of the playmaker compared to Tyreek or T.Y. I'm sorry. So I would definitely take Diggs as well, but it would be a hard decision because you see Hilton there, and his name, he still can make plays out there. He's going to be getting the targets, and then Diggs is going against Thielen, but I think I like Diggs more. Moving on to the next one.
It's gonna take a couple games in the season to really answer that question, only because I want to see what the rapport is between Brissett and Ty. You know what I mean? Like, we already know Kirk Cousins does like Diggs, and they already have a connection. So you just go safe and take Diggs.
Okay, I definitely like the Diggs pick. So we're gonna move on to. Let me see here. There was a couple more I was looking at. We'll do 2 more. And it'll just be quick. So, would you do Odell Beckham Jr. for Adam Thielen and Melvin Gordon?
Oh, man. That's my favorite player, and I think that he could be number 1 wide receiver overall.
Or it could be Josh Gordon, too. So, let's do Thielen. I think Thielen and Melvin Gordon, it's almost easier to take the Thielen-Melvin Gordon side.
Maybe not, though, because we're not sure what Melvin's doing.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It probably is what it is. I would say no. I mean, is he for sure playing week 1? Then you have to do it, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, even I would do it, and I love Odell. Right now, no. Right now, I'm staying safe. I'm good.
Okay. And then for me, Thielen and Melvin Gordon, I would obviously take those 2. And if Melvin Gordon's playing, if he's not playing and we get to week 1, I mean, that's actually a hard decision because you don't want to have a Melvin Gordon sitting on the bench and you just traded Odell for Thielen. You hope that Thielen puts up those points he did last year, but you're missing out on a lot of points from Odell. But then on the Odell side,
I rescind it. I'll do it. I feel that Thielen could step in and kind of help cover up Odell if Melvin Gordon doesn't play. And then obviously if Melvin Gordon is playing, it's win automatically. So yes, I would take it. If it got offered me right now, I would take it. I had to think a little bit, man.
And the way
you throw me to the wolves on it, and I answered off the top of my head, and my first reaction was wrong. It took me 10 seconds. I thought it over. Yes, you take the deal. You can only get positive from that. Once Melvin Gordon comes back, let's say he only misses 4 games, 3 games, 2 games, comes back, plays well, I'll go back. You know what I mean? I'm going back to get Odell.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Odell over Thielen and Josh Gordon. You don't want to downgrade your offense or your wide receiver like that.
If that's what he's asking, no.
No way.
Keep Odell.
Okay, well let's end it there. There was some more questions, but it's almost like no-brainer questions. I don't want to keep filling this
for sure, man.
This podcast with. So we will answer more questions next week, and if anyone wants to submit a question down low, we will for sure answer it. I'm definitely checking the YouTube, checking all of our ratings.
Yeah, if you submit a question down below or on our YouTube, we'll answer it more in depth. We won't just go hot fire and get through it. We'll
break
actually
it
go
down
in depth with it. Yeah, for sure.
And then also just make sure that if you're listening, to go to the platform you're listening on, and if you're able to leave a rating, leave us a rating and a comment. I usually get them on my main page, so if we ever get anyone's rating and comment, we'll read it here live on the show. And that'll do it for this week. We were able to keep it under an hour, and we want to make this second show kind of to the point. Let you guys know, answer some questions, and we will talk to you next week. And then that's the week that we're starting our Sunday live feed when it comes to an hour before the game. So make sure you tune in, and we will just keep pushing that. So if you're listening next week, we'll make sure you don't forget come Thursday that we are going to be talking that Sunday. So I'm excited. It's right around the corner. We got football pretty much at the home stretch. We're just one more week away from watching a bunch of watching the fourth stringers play. There's really nobody that I'm going to be looking out for. Keep an eye on the injuries and the cuts. The cuts is going to be the biggest thing. All right, everyone, have a great night, and enjoy your drafts if you're doing it. Good luck, and we will see you next week.